This is how to trim a pot.
This is how to trim a pot. Is my stomach looking really fat right here?
Well, we did just have lunch. So.
Yeah. Thanks, Reggie. Thank you. So you look at your pot. The very first thing is you look at your pot. Now, I'm a potter, so I call everything a pot. This is a bowl. Okay? This is a type of pot. So I look at it, and I'm trying to memorize the shape on the inside. And I'm also trying to look at the bottom. So we have a space about this big. Okay? I'm guessing we have this much between here and here. Okay? So then I'm going to take this, and I'm going to put it down on the wheel. All right? I'm going to try to recenter this foot area on the wheel. Not the lip area I'm concerned about, the foot area, because in the beginning pottery, sometimes the lip is over here. And sometimes the foot is over here. Yeah. So
sometimes make it.
So then what you do, you put up the guard hands like this. So, because remember, this pot is not secured down. So if you go too fast without it being secured down with anything, it'll fly across the room, okay? So I'm putting up the guard hands like this first, just to make sure it's not until I get the right speed. Then you can use a fingernail or a needle tool. I forgot to grab a needle tool.
I'll get it.
I'll do it with a fingernail this first time. And you just drag it to make a line, okay? A circle line. Then you look at that line, that circle that you just made, and you see if it's in the center of the pot. Now this one's pretty good. So I'm going to whack it out for, needle tools are at the end drawer. The end drawer on the table. There's scissors sitting. There you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this over on purpose. I'm going to make it a little bit off center on purpose because I was so good I just centered that without even trying. So let's pretend I put this on there and then now it's a little off center. You can see how it's going a little wonky. So I'm going to make a little line with my needle tool or my fingernail. See how I'm holding my hand real steady. I'm just making a little line. Now I'm going to look at this new line right here. You see how it's skinnier over here and wider over here? That means I need to push this pot slightly in the direction of where it's skinnier. Okay? So I'm going to push it over like this. Really, really good potters, and I can do it sometimes. And I train kids to do this with cans of vegetables. Can actually tap their pot into center. They'll start up with guard hands like this, and they'll just start tapping, and then their pot will eventually go into center because whenever it's in center, you can tell it's in center just because you can see how nice and tight in a circle it's going in the middle of the wheel. There you go. Now I did another, look, now it's good. Third line, everything seems fairly even. Okay, so we're good. All right, so that's the first step. So once you have the center, you don't want to have all this work happen for naught, okay? So you have to put your hand on the top of this to hold it in place. If you don't put your hand on the top of this and hold it in place, when you attach your security logs on there, it'll push it out of center. So you want to take these logs, and you want to push them down toward the wheel head and not into the pot. Otherwise, you'll damage your pot. So you want to push it down toward the wheel head and not into your pot. And always at the outermost point of your pot surface. I'll explain that in a minute. So then once you get these in place, you can take your hand off, okay? And then you can just tap these down to make sure everything's going to be secure, okay? You don't, now this bowl is nice. This is a bowl that has a lip that goes out like this. So it's easy to secure down. You just tuck these over, okay? If you had a bowl that comes more in or is more straight, like yours, it's fine. You're going to attach yours. You're going to attach yours, you know, like right here. You're going to attach it at the outermost part, making sure that it'll keep it in place. You don't want to stick like a little itty bitty piece of clay down here at the bottom, because it'll fly out. You want to have something that's going to hold it closer up in the middle here. Okay? So there we go. So here, now we are ready to roll. Then you use this fat. Fat is an inappropriate terminology to use. Okay? So
Rubenesque.
Yes, use this Rubenesque trimming tool. Okay, with a nice little derriere right here, the derriere part right here. Okay? So that's a French word for life, okay? So you go like this, and you have the derriere on the inside. And see how I'm holding one hand's holding the other? It helps. And sometimes I'll take my elbows and squeeze them tight into my ribs or whatnot, you know. But you want to keep it nice and steady. And you just let the tool scrape the clay. You let that bowl come around and hit your tool a little bit.
Are you trying to do flat or put a little bit of a camera on it?
No, we're actually just leveling real quick. We're just doing a quick level. And that's all we're doing there, okay? And then I'm going to take a little teeny bit of this excess off the side. So we're trimming the excess away from the pie, okay? I switched to my glasses, back to my progressives for this part because I need to be able to see close up. I'm now at the switching stage of glasses age where I don't like the progressives. I haven't accepted them all the way, so I have 2 pairs of glasses I wear, sometimes 3. Okay, so then after the Rubenesque tool work is done right now, you go to the little tool. Okay, this little tool has a round end and a squared end. Okay, you're going to hold this like a pencil, all right, like you would a pencil, and then you hold this, the outermost part on your right side is going to dip down a little lower, so you're at a slight angle. Okay. So you're going to be using that corner. And then we're going to get down there, and now what we're going to do is we're going to start in the center. You're just going to take some out. Again, let the tool, the clay come around and hit the tool. You have a nice firm hand and control. You're going to make the little round part inside the foot, okay? The foot is usually described as a ring at the bottom of a bowl. There are all different kinds of feet. There's all different kinds of feet you can make, okay? But this is the traditional one, okay? So what we're aiming to make is our dome. Remembering what the inside shape is, a shallow dome with a ring sitting on top of it, okay?
Well, you're not adding the ring, you're actually subtracting.
No, yeah,
from
we're
what's already there to
subtracting,
leave the
yes,
ring.
yes.
Okay.
So now we're working on the inner part of the ring, and we're just taking some of this away, just like this. Now we're going to do depth, okay? Depth check. So you're either going to, some people do it by sound or feel tapping. Sometimes you can tell how thick it is. And I remember, I have that memory, and I remember what it looked like. Remember when we were analyzing it? So I know I can go further, okay? So I'm going to go a little further. I'm going to take
And your
some
goal is to get to the same thickness as the sides, basically?
Sort of, yes. You can make it thicker or thinner, but what you're trying to do is help it dry properly. Two, if you have a real thin amount of clay at the bottom and real thick foot and thick walls, no, the thin part will dry first, and then it'll cause stress between the thicker parts and the thinner parts. And then you'll get what's called a stress crack, which is actually shaped like an S, you know, that happens. So now we check the depth again. This time I'm going to push it a little bit. And I can tell if it's starting to give. It's not giving yet. I can take a little bit more away, I think, just a little bit. Now remember, we're going to dome this. We're not going to make it flat across. We're going to make this a little bit tiny roundness to it because that's why we're using the outer edge corner of this tool. Because you know what? Clay likes to dry with a little curve in it, better than it likes to dry flat. Again, if you have a round foot, you have something completely flat surface like this, and the inside's going like this, and then you have your foot, it could cause a stress crack, because again, you're going to have a thicker part here and a thinner part here, okay? So it's kind of like logical when you think about it that way. There, now I can feel it's just starting to give, okay? So now what I'm going to do is just straight dome it out again, nicely, from where I just made that slight imprint with my finger. Now, some people do not like to trim. I'll tell you that. I love trimming.
It looks fun.
I can trim all day long. I love trimming so much. Okay? Now, you can even, for fun, you can take trimming tools on the wheel. Remember, this is just a tool. Okay? This is just a tool that makes things spin around in a circle. So you could take your trimming tool and you can actually go in and make designs in your pot after we're done with this, if you wanted to. Just saying. Okay? Now, Now we got the inner ring done. We're going to go on the outside here. Again, watch my hands. They're helping each other. And we're going to make a definitive line. And this arm's down. Definitive line, okay? Now we're going to take some of this away. Okay? Move with that.
Okay. Still flower.
Oh, yeah. So now we're going to take this. Okay? All right. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down like this. I'm going to go on the outside with the Rubenesque part of this, the big tool again. And now I'm going to start pulling some of this clay away. You're never going to go past this line right here, okay? Now for the pieces that have really thin bottoms, like your second one, you might not even be doing any of this. All you're going to be doing is leveling and cleaning it off, okay? In fact, I'm going to stop here and let you, yeah, I'll keep going. So,
that's the ring base you're working
yeah,
on.
yeah. So the thing is, what we don't want to do, hi Phil, good, I'll give you the tour after I'm done with this demo. What you don't want to do, guys, is you don't want to take this tool and hook it. You don't want to hold it at a hard angle where you hook your pot right off the thing. So you have to go nice and gentle. You take your little time.
So it's relatively vertical where it hits the clay.
Yeah, so we want to try to get this outer edge at the same level as this inner edge. You want this and this to match up. Okay, so now that I've taken a lot of this off, oh, you can see Patrick's has a bottom that's just flat.
It's just a flat foot.
Yeah, I'm letting yours slow dry because it is just a teeny bit thick. So
Yeah, it's kind of thick, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's okay though. And then you go like this. Now I'm going to take back to that little tool, and I change my hand position. I'm not holding it like this anymore. Now I'm holding it like this. And all I'm going to do is clean up this outer part. You know, again, just letting the thing go by. And then I'm going to get in here with this little tool and do some more of this part to make sure these are level. And they are very nicely level, so this feels like it's going to go maybe a little lower. It feels like it's going to, like, that it's continuation of each other. Now that those are at the same level, okay, we're going to take the big tool again, the Rubenesque tool, and we're going to take all this extra clay away. Okay? Yeah, with this.
Continuous.
Yeah, so it's one continuous line, okay? And that's gorgeous.
How do you decide how big the diameter of the ring should be?
Oh, so that is totally up to you. But if you're trimming a big pot, okay, you don't want a little foot like this big, okay? Okay?
Yeah.
You want to have a nicely spaced foot. Now, there's all sorts of feet out there. There's feet that you can take this and you can chunk out and you can just make little posts that stick up. There's all sorts of feet out there. Now, the last step for this, and we're almost done, is called burnishing, which I love to do. And it's just you're pushing down the grains of the clay back into itself, any grit and everything, for two reasons. Compression, burnishing is a fancy word for polishing, but also compressing it, it makes a nice smooth surface so you don't scratch your dining room table. Okay?
You don't use any water for this?
No, just your fingers. Just your fingers, and you're compressing the clay. And it's nice because clay likes to be compressed. That also reduces the chance of stress cracks and cracks that might arise in the drying time with the drying process. So compression, especially when you're working with anything flat or the bottoms of bowls or vases, a little bit of compression, a little bit of burnishing helps. Then boom, you're done. And then what you do is this is the perfect time for you to scratch your initials in the bottom of this, okay? But you can take this, I'm gonna leave these here in case you wanna do more with this Dennis. Okay, but this is Dennis's, and then you clean it up and then we let it dry on the table. Okay, so that's how you trim. We have two sets of trimming tools here, and I can get you another needle tool over in the end table. There's more clay here. Okay, you guys can work side by side or whatever you want. Okay, so that's trimming. I'm going to show Phil around.
That's how you trim a pot.
Hi Phil, how are you today?